Give a bigger jump. Yeah. And they will have like a cart, right?
Yeah. I know you all want to see Jason Barnes as an entity drummer who we developed the prosthesis for, but I'm going to start with some other projects we've been working on just to build the context for what we have been doing with Jason. So usually with Georgia Tech this year, I'm here at Kennesaw State, and Kennesaw State is collaborating with us. We have musicians from Kennesaw State, we have musicians from Georgia Tech, we have students from Georgia Tech, and obviously AIM, the Atlanta Institute of Music, where Jason and his teacher, Eric Sanders, who actually made this all happen because he saw our work, they will be playing with us today. So what I want to do is show you a glimpse of some of the projects and some of the ideas that we played with for robotic musicianship, because these are the same clips that Jason and his teacher saw online, and that's why they came up and actually emailed me one day and said, can you use some of this technology for our instruments? So I'm going to go to this podium because that's where I have my PowerPoint, and I'm going to show you some of this project, and then we have one live demo of one of the projects that we have shimmy over there. After the concert, we will have shimmy, and we'll have Jason, and we'll have some demos in the lobby. So some more personal, not hands-on, personal demos after the concert. But for now, I'm going to show some of the idea of robotic musicianship. The idea that led me to this project was to try to develop artificial creativity. Not just artificial intelligence, let's see what happens if robots can be creative. Can they push music to a new direction? Can they do something interesting that humans don't do? And whether I can create new music this way. And the first project that we developed was this robot with a student, Scott Driscoll. And this robot was about gestures and timbres, which is the color of sound, creating rich sound. I've been working for years in software, developing algorithms that listens to humans and try to inspire them and improvise and give accompaniment based on all kinds of algorithms, computer science algorithms. But I missed the acoustic sound, the richness of acoustic sound. There's also the visual cues that when you go to a concert, you come, especially for those, you want to see interaction between humans, physical interactions, synchronization between them, anticipation, get something that is much more physical. And of course, robots is the answer to something that has a digital brain and physical behavior. So the first robot is Hailey, and you see here how Scott actually plays something, and Hailey listens to it, improvises, plays something back, building on what Scott is doing with all kinds of algorithms that I may say a little bit more about later. And then Scott is building back on what Hailey is doing, and doing back and forth call and response. We also brought them to a context of a drum circle with professional darbuka players in this case. This is from Israel. And you will see that the darbuka player, I think it's the first time we actually heard what the robot can play back and see the facial expression. This is exactly what I was looking for, to see some surprise, maybe even some inspiration. That was interesting. So here's a clip demo from that drum circle. You see how the robot actually listens, trying to get the tempo, playing the tempo, gives a beat, and the little arm that the camera didn't really catch actually was improvising based on what it heard. We have microphones inside the darbuka drums, and it actually took the pitch from one drum and the rhythm from another one and put them together in a way that most humans wouldn't do. So this is the kind of idea that I was looking for. The next robot was Shimon. And as you can see, it has a head and a face that actually is responding to humans. We have a camera inside inside the head. We actually use some other camera. We use Kinect in one of the projects. And the idea was first to get to pitch and harmony, because Haile was only about rhythm. And try to see if we can understand things like chord progression, melodies, and try to improvise back and create something interesting. But another element was to create some more personal connection with a moving body. And we'll talk about the whole gesture element first. First, let's see a short clip. This is Guy used to do postdoc in my group. And you can see some of the algorithm he developed and how Shimon responds to it. Give you some kind of visual cue to get you into the groove, and this is a hip hop. Looking at the humans, looking back, looking back. Some other interesting things that we tried to create. Interested in jazz. I play jazz. Actually, I'm actually going to play jazz later too, for first time for a long time at the pedal stage. I like Monk, so it's Monk. I like Coltrane. And I said, how about we go and statistically try to analyze the style of Monk, the style of Coltrane, and try to actually have a robot play in this style, and looking at all the solos and figure out wherever Monk plays a particular note, what is the likelihood for the next note to be, or the velocity, or the time interval, the rhythm. And then we have this in this iPhone. You can see how I play some melody in the iPhone. Obviously, it can be any other instruments that you play. It will first repeat it, but then with the iPhone to control, let's make the improvisation more like a Monk, more like a Coltrane, maybe some combination, morphing of that. Let's see how this sounds. With a picture so you can recognize it. Syncopated beats from Monk. Faster links from Coltrane. And I can also add some things for myself. So I'm playing with Monk and Coltrane in a way, or at least listen what it would sound like if any of them played marimba, which obviously they don't, so it doesn't sound like a Coltrane. It's difficult to have a marimba sound like Coltrane, but it's the sense of what this can sound like and maybe make me think about music in a different way. Here is another thing that we did with the robot, which is about vision. It has a Kinect that can look at the musician. You will see him, this is Tom Sherwood from Sonic Generator. You will see him actually moving Tai Chi kind of movements. The robot analyzes Tai Chi movements, how fast, the speed, the direction, and based on that it improvises and changes different motifs. Later Tom is going to play a motif, and Shimon is going to try to sometimes imitate the motif, sometimes build into the motif, sometimes improvise and bring other motifs, and back and forth they're always looking to see who is playing what and how it all sounds together. but it doesn't do anything, no, but just look much more natural. So people like the baby. And we added this many. Actually, listen to the conducting of the baton and trying to do something based on what it listens to. And that's the Georgia Tech orchestra. How during banjo kind of interaction, but with marimba and drums, and we try to do gestures with the heads that will make it much more fun to play this. And actually this served as a PSA for Georgia Tech for quite a while. Before we move to the next project, let's fun view, let it be Stephen Colbert. So before we go on to the other project, let me just have a little fun clip of Stephen Colbert looking at our robots and what he thinks about jazz and robots.
To our nation, jazz and robots. Researchers at the Georgia Tech Center for Music Technology have developed Shimon, a fully independent four-armed marimba-playing automaton that can improvise along with human players. I can only assume he comes pre-programmed with a heroin addiction. But this felonious junk doesn't just play jazz, he's been programmed to dig it too. Bobbing his head to the beat and checking in with his fellow players. Meaning that long after the robot uprising kills all the humans on Earth, there will still be someone on the planet pretending to enjoy jazz.
Alright. To the project that was first called Travis, but then called it Shimmy, which is a little Shimon. And here the goal was to have a musical companion that you can maybe talk with. Later in the demonstration, you can talk with Shimmy and it can respond to you. It can be connected to the web and bring music to you. It can understand if you beat a particular rhythm, it can look into big data music and find music in the same rhythm that you beat, so some music intelligence there. You can move your head actually and create some kind of a rhythm, and based on how you move your head, it will try to understand what kind of beat and tempo you want and build your music this way. So it can do a lot of things, and my student will show you later some of this interaction. But now maybe we will show a little tribute that we developed for Kennesaw, because I'm here at Kennesaw State. And we have three shimmys here, and Mason, every time my PhD student will just press one button, so there's no interaction here. Show you how synchronized with shimmies can work. Just a glimpse of what they are, and later you'll be able to see them in the logic. And said, can you use some of this technology to help Jason create some kind of robotic device that will allow him to play and have some expression. Jason's arm was amputated. I will call him in a second. He will tell you a little bit about his story. But it was amputated below the elbow, so he can still hit. But drummers use the wrist and fingers a lot for expression. The bounce, the grip, and he couldn't do that. So they were thinking, how about you develop something like that? And maybe before I tell you what I did, maybe I'll call Jason on stage with the MG. Jason Barnes.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Good. I'm Jason Barnes, play drums, also a student at Atlanta Student Music and Media. I've been playing drums since I was about 15 years old. It's about 9 years now, I'm 24. When I was 22, on January 9th, 2012. I was at work cleaning a restaurant exhaust system, and me and my assistant went on the roof and proceeded to clean the duct system and the fan system when all I remember is the feeling of fear, a loud explosion sound, and a pink flash of light. I came to the hospital, I'm not sure how long after, burnt and cooked, and I thought that I was in some sort of fire or an explosion, and then everybody informed me that I was electrocuted. I didn't remember that, so of course I was shocked, literally. And what my assistant told me happened is we were on the roof getting ready to clean a fan, and he said something spooked me. I yelled, "Get down," and then he remembers pink lightning coming from the power lines / transformers, knocked us both on the ground. And when he got up, I was still on the ground, seizuring and everything. So I was in the hospital for almost a month or so, and throughout various surgeries, about 6 or 7 of debriefing and trying to clean all the dead tissue out of my arm and skin grafts and everything, they had told me that my ulnar artery supplying blood to my hand was non-existent, so my hand wasn't getting blood. This was about almost 3 weeks in the hospital. So that was the 6th or 7th surgery. So at that point, I didn't really know, the seriousness of the situation, and I kind of leveled with the doctors and asked them what the best option was and the best recovery plan. I asked them if amputating my hand was the best option, the best way out of here, and they proceeded to tell me, that was more than likely the best thing. If I did keep my hand, it would be years of recovery. I would be lucky if I was able to move it again. Things of that sort, so I decided to have it amputated. After that, I was kind of, I guess, down and depressed about life. I wasn't really sure where I was going anymore. I was dwelling on the things that I didn't think I could do anymore: play drums, play guitar, play bass, play video games, anything you think you couldn't do with 2 hands. I was thinking about how limited I was. So after about a week of my amputation, a week and a half, they released me from the hospital. I went home and was still kind of down and depressed, didn't really know where I was going with my life. And so about 3 weeks or so after all that, out of boredom and everything, and I was just losing my mind, I drug my drum set out of the garage and proceeded to tape a stick to my arm and see if it was still possible if I played drums. So played on the drums for a couple of minutes under excruciating pain, and throughout all that, it gave me the inspiration and everything, like, hey, this is still possible, I can still do this, I can still play drums. So that was like a huge weight lifted off my shoulders, And throughout various physical therapies and things like that, my physical therapist, Dan Hacker, made me a makeshift drum prosthetic out of a drumstick. And so again, that was a boost of inspiration, another weight lifted off my shoulders, and I'm sitting there thinking, like, this is still possible. So after messing with that for a little while, about a month or so after that, I received my first normal prosthetic, and at the time, I wanted something that I could play drums with. So there's a company that made a prosthetic device that held a drumstick, and I received that, was kind of more satisfied, but still not as satisfied with what I could do. So throughout about a month, 2 months of modifying things on the prosthetic, I got it to work 50 to 75% more efficient than how I had it. At first, it was a single hit that I could do. Now I have it modified so I can actually get a double stroke in there, so it simulates my wrist. I played with it for about a year or so, and after all that, when I gained the confidence, I'd heard of Atlanta Institute of Music and Media for a while, and I decided, heck, I'm going to go try out for an audition. So I went and auditioned, failed the audition because I didn't know how to read sheet music. Throughout some private lessons with my drum teacher, Craig Harper, he helped me out, showed me how to do everything, and a couple weeks later I went and took another audition, passed, and was accepted into AIM. So that was awesome. It was, hey, I'm good enough to be here at drum school, so I can do this. My first private lesson with my drum teacher, Eric Sanders, we sat down, and he was curious and intrigued. He wanted to see how I played drums and what my limitations were. So we sat down, I played for him, and we kind of collaborated on where my strong points were and where my weak points were. And I explained to him that I would be able to do more as far as control goes with the stick if I had some sort of robotic myoelectric device that had a drumstick. And so, of course, he was intrigued by this, didn't really know much about robotics or myoelectrics, went home and did his own studies. and made him start thinking about Gil's video of Shimon. And so he came back to me, showed me this video. Of course, I was intrigued, and he told me that he taught private lessons to a student at Georgia Tech, and he would say something to him at the point I didn't think anything would come of it, you know. And so the student shortly thereafter gave Eric Gil's email address, and he emailed him, and at that point still I wasn't thinking anything was going to come from it. His student told us that Gil was very busy and, you know, the chances were really slim. Well, and within days, Gil had emailed us back and said he was intrigued with everything and wanted to be a part of the project. So at that point I was, you know, mind blown. And so about a month or so after that, we all met at Georgia Tech, me, two of my drum teachers, and the students, and Gil and his team, and discussed the project, discussed what we were going to do. They proceeded to make the arm. We came out with the first wearable prototype about a month ago, started practicing, and that's what's led us up to today.
Great. Okay, so as you saw, he didn't wear our robotic arm. He's going to wear it right now, and as he goes, maybe I'll tell you what happens after I got this email. And actually, I don't know, maybe you know that, but I was at this time writing a science fiction script. And of course it has some musical robots in it, and creative, artificial creativity, and humans don't end well there with robots becoming creative, and we started to be concerned with you know, singularity, at the point where technology becomes smarter and faster than us. What will happen if actually robots that we don't think as creative will be creative? And start worrying a bit about the whole artificial creativity thing. And then when Jason called or emailed, I thought, maybe if we embed this artificial creativity in humans, we should be okay. We should be able to deal with the robots, the separate robots. In other words, the interest in a robot that is actually part of your body was strong, and to see what happens when the intimate connections that can be created between human and robots when it's not separate. It's really part of your body, and you can create something interesting with it, was the reason that I was intrigued by that and followed through. So the first thing I did immediately is I emailed my friends, Guy Hoffman from IDC Herzliya in Israel, and Roberto Amy, both of them I knew from the MIT Media Lab. And together we thought what could be interesting. All of the projects that you saw, they have been helping. And we decided that this is an interesting project, but we don't have enough information and enough knowledge about the hardware. So we contacted one of the best companies in robotics, Mecha Robotics, and Philip Mullins from Mecha Robotics, who helped us come up with the design and the low-level control for the robot. My students here, which actually everything that you'll see is what my student created, literally. I'm just suggesting suggestions, and they're working on this project. We have Mason Kletan here, and Deepak Kobinas, and Ani Zan, and Ming Gu, and Iman Mukherjee. They all joined the project and helped us create this demo, which maybe before we get into the concept, I will show some of the things that we have developed that later will be part of the pieces you'll be seeing. And as you can see, I'm stalling, telling you some stories to see that everything works. Everything that will simulate the wrist and the finger control. And whoops, that's the second demo, which whenever he wants, he can demonstration knob that Jason can change to show you what happens when the stick is actually grabbed in a tight way. How does it sound? And then how does it sound when it's more loose? So, you want to start with tight? Sure. Right. And when it's loose, and maybe a drum roll with tight stick. So there's a fast speed that also can be added using this control. But then, because my research is about artificial creativity, I suggested Hegel to have the second state, that with a gesture he can bring it into control, and he can bring the second state. And now we can start to have all kinds of interesting things that maybe Jason didn't ask for, but now we can do. For example, the state can create rhythm of its own. Let's say one state created one line. Right? And Jason may be able to have one chain of the muscle. It doesn't control every state, but create it and bring it into this mode. And then let's hear a different speed or a different tempo of the second state. It's pretty cool. And what's interesting is that now you can play polyrhythm. You can have both things played together in different kind of words, different kind of time signature. Something very difficult for musicians, but he can just put his arm next to the ground and sound like this. Can play, people can play with just putting his arm next to the ground. And he can actually, with this stick, or with this stick, can maybe even drum and hit and see, and connect between his muscle movement and his ability as a drummer and the speed of the stick and create something interesting. Let's stay with the speed and maybe try to hit something and create some rhythm. So, he did. Eric, his teacher, will join him, and that's the first piece of our concert. So, sections by people. But we wanted to show that it's not only about drums, we want to play with other instruments and play some jazz, because that's what started it all, at least for me. And some people tell me that all of the robots and other instruments that I develop is just excuses for me to be able to play on stage, because no one can see me playing jazz myself. But in this case, I'm actually going to take the opportunity and I'm going to play, and I'm going to also invite Brendan Boone, the bass major from Kennesaw State University, and Cameron Summers from Georgia Tech Center for Music to play trumpet, and we're going to play So What by United States. cool stuff that we can do. As you obviously saw that Jason was playing with a different kind of modes that he had. But what we can do in addition is that we can have the other musicians connect and actually change aspects of how the arm is playing and create a unique, again, intimate kind of connection that you cannot create with musicians that are not controlling your arm. And to show this demonstration, I will call Andrew Straps, Andrew, and he's a guitar player from Kennesaw State, again. And Andrew will, and Brandon, and Jason will play the next piece, but before the next piece, we're going to show some of the control that Andrew will have over Jason's arm. Different chords that Andrew will play will change the different rhythms that the arm is playing. So whenever they improvise together, and as you saw, we can't trade it forward, they will trade and there's a new kind of interaction that I hope will create something interesting. And we're going to play some new Clifford Brown. before the last piece, maybe a couple of announcements. First, this is part of the Atlanta Science Festival, and you all probably got, or if you didn't, you will be handed feedback forms. So it will be great. The festival will have, will appreciate it if you fill the form and give them to the volunteers. I want to thank the Georgia Tech Center for Music Technology, the School of Music at Georgia Tech, Kennesaw State University, and the Atlanta Science Festival for also supporting and helping us. And the last piece we will have as part of the concert before the demo is going to be Skies by another Georgia Tech Center for Music Technology student, and we will have